everybody. I am Melissa Forziat of Take the Doughnut, here to help you get inspiration and get donuts. I'm a motivational keynote speaker, but today I'm bringing you another Take the Doughnut interview with the one and only Jeff Keenan. And Jeff is a Web3 entrepreneur. He is a chocolatier and the co-owner of Whoo's Donuts in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So Jeff, thank you for joining. Welcome.
Of course. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Well, first, I have to start with the obligatory question. What's your favorite donut?
Well, let's see. We do a special blue corn donut here in Santa Fe. It's we try to make it a Southwestern signature. And so we one called the blue corn maple pecan. And for me, that's the best donut. I like the crunchy texture and the texture of the blue corn. It's a really good one. But our most popular that we make is the blue corn blueberry lavender. So that's our #1 seller.
That sounds incredible and really innovative. Corn in a donut. I like the plan.
Yeah, if you go to, you have chicory coffee, right? And if you come to the Southwest, you better be trying a blue corn donut because we're trying to make it ubiquitous with the Southwest. So it's been fun. I will give credit to my wife and co-owner, Carrie. She developed that concept and has now created, it's actually just last week was the top 25 interesting donuts in North America for the Yelp this year. So Yelp voted it the top 25 in North America. So the blueberry donut is making its way.
Okay.
Or blue corn donut.
I love it. Well, we all need to try it. That's for sure. So in terms of your bio, it's, you've got a range of things. The chocolatier, the donut shop, those things seem to go together. The Web3 entrepreneur does seem like a different thing. Tell us more about yourself. What do you want us to know?
Sure. I mean, I've always, I'm not an artist, but I find business to be kind of my creative outlet. So I find building businesses and growing them to be a source of creativity for me. So I like to get in, figure out, what we need to do, figure out problems as they come along, because all businesses have problems. And, so that's been my forte. We started our chocolate business called the Chocolatesmith 20 years ago here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. That was going well. We had grown to a few locations and a robust wholesale business. And then we saw a need in our local market. There was only one kind of mom and pop donut shop that had been here for a long time. And it finally closed down after 25 years. And my wife and I, one morning, were like, you know what, we should open a donut shop, And so we kind of hashed out a plan in one day. And then it took us a few months. And then we opened our donut shop 13 years ago. So we're in our 13th year. And so that's been something that we started out as just a storefront. Then we grew into a pretty robust wholesale business. We would make, about 60 to 80 stops 7 days a week to our wholesale locations. We ended up growing with Whole Foods and being in 4 stores in New Mexico. After that kind of took off, about 2 years later, we were approached by Whole Foods to go regional with them. So we had good sales volume coming through the local stores. So we ended up expanding into 7 states and 35 more Whole Foods and grew into that part of the business. And then, we were just talking before the interview about kind of remote work and the idea of being able to work from anywhere. Then we started to get into Santa Fe is a really big art town. So just by being here, you start to rub elbows with artists. I meet famous artists at the soccer fields with my kids, or, they'll come in the donut shop, and we've just gotten to know so many that once we started learning about, blockchain and NFTs and art in that format being revolutionary for artists, we decided to open another business called Santa Fe NFT. And so that's what we've been growing for the last year and a half. So it's just another extension of, I guess, creativity. So, we've got the chocolate and the donuts. The art is kind of, we're kind of unlikely players in that field, but we're really early, and we've been growing, working on growing that business as well. And as a matter of fact, I have right now a deal going where if you mint one Santa Fe NFT mint pass. And you can do that at mint.santafenft.io. You can have donuts at my donut shop free for life, which is
Wow.
insane. And I've had 3 people take me up on it so far. It's only going to be good for another week. And the pass for my new business is $70. So for $70, you can have a free donut every day for the rest of your life. And it's transferable. So this kind of new way to bring people into the donut business is, you can hold that pass, utilize it for however many years you like, and then you can be able to put it up for sale again down the road. And I'm guarantee you that pass is going to be worth a lot more than $70 that you paid for it. So,
wow. Well,
here we go.
by the time this comes out, it might be after this opportunity is over, but that people need to stay tuned for what you are doing in all of your businesses, because you never know when you're going to get great opportunities like this.
If it comes out after, I will make an exception that if they come through your portal, anybody that comes through, I'll keep that offer open for them.
Oh my gosh, that's an exclusive. I love it. Well, you are clearly the right person to be talking to here, because let's get into the meat of it. This discussion is about taking the donut, which for me is an expression that means carpe diem, seizing the day, seizing the opportunity. And for those who aren't familiar with my story, I will link it here. But basically, I once left a donut on a table in college, and it became a literal object lesson in what it looks like to leave opportunity on the table. Very weird moment that meant a lot more for me after the fact. And so this conversation is about going after opportunity, going after what you want. And I can see that you do a lot of that. So let me ask you this to start us off. How are you with going after your goals? What's that process like for you?
I would say I probably have a higher risk tolerance than most folks do. Most entrepreneurs probably skew to that category, because there is an inherent risk, going out and doing things like starting your own business or creating new, areas within different markets. So I've always been a pretty big risk taker. I did work a corporate job for 10 years. And, when it came down to starting my own business, it was kind of like that job seems like it's always going to be there, and it is comfortable, and the pay is good, and the health insurance and the retirement, aren't all guaranteed when you start your own business. And so, the way I rationalize it is that job will always be there. I can always come back to something similar to that, but I'll be kicking myself if I never took a chance and tried to bet on myself and get something started in my own business. So that's how we got the first business going. The second business, the donut shop, was really just born out of foolishness, because we had extra time and we had extra money, and we just thought, let's open a donut shop. It'll be fun. And it's really, it's a lot of work, and it's a very taxing business. But we learned it, and we kind of tamed it and reeled it in. So for me, opening the donut shop was the ultimate take the donut, because that was a high risk. But we thought about it carefully. We planned it out. We spent months doing it. And then my next take the donut was the NFT business, because it's so new and it's so little known about. I mean, I talk to 100 customers a day here. Maybe 2 out of 100 will know anything about it, and then maybe one of them will be able to speak about the business. So it's really early. We're trying to be early in that. So, I think that's what attracted me to your the work that you do, is because of your story of the Take the Donut. And I think it's encouraging for people. And I think it's really, I look at it as, when I'm done working, I'm old and gray, and I'm not out here doing this anymore, am I going to regret staying in the same kind of ho-hum thing for my whole life, or did I at least try? And so there's stuff that gets me fired up is the man in the arena. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but something that maybe we can attach it here to this discussion. But it's like, if you're not out there if you are out there and you're in the fight and you're in the trenches and you're trying to get something done, there doesn't matter what anybody else says, because that's just the critic, and they're not actually trying, so there's a lot to be said about being out there and, giving it your all.
Yeah, that's good advice. And I think, it's interesting with all of the different opportunities that you've taken, that you've been describing so far, the risk has been a little different for each of them, even though it's all entrepreneurial. If there are some businesses that you're running that have a lot of overhead, and some that, like, the market is, what the business is, and people have an awareness of it. You just have to kind of create it in your area, versus the NFT, which is like the whole world is being educated about that field as you're building the business. So it's all different kinds of risk. And, it's interesting to see you stretching yourself like that.
Yeah, I found it invigorating to go down that path again, because launching a business and like that whole process, I just felt like I had to learn so much, and I was challenging myself in ways that I hadn't done for a few years. And so I feel like the thrill of starting something is kind of got its own, addiction to that as well. So, getting things going. But yeah, you're right. Donuts are a known, good, solid business, as long as they're run well. But this is something totally new.
Let's unpack what you just said for a moment, that the thrill of starting something. So once you've started it and you're in progress, what keeps you motivated? As this grind starts to happen, how do you keep yourself going?
Well, you have to have good systems, so once you establish what you're doing, you have to get people in there, get your systems established, so that you're not stuck doing everything in your business day to day, so, and that's how I've always operated is, I train my way out of every position. I find the right people. That way I can start adding more layers to the business. So when we started out, yes, of course, I was in here making donuts. I was getting things going, but then I trained a crew. That way I could go pursue wholesale. So then I spent my time going out into the community, going to all the different coffee shops, going to the different grocery chains, establishing relationships. Once that was done, then it became the next layer, so it's just having good systems in place and then building on top of that, because, I wouldn't be able to start the NFT business if I didn't have all of my other businesses in a good place, to be able to do so.
Right. So when you're thinking about going after some big opportunity or taking a leap of some sort, or taking the donut, what are the biggest challenges for you usually in that process?
Access to those are hard to come by. And I always say you have to be prepared for when something like that comes your way. So having Whole Foods just reach out to us and say, hey, do you want to add 40 more stores? I was just waiting for a phone call like that to happen someday in my lifetime. It was almost like being on the Shark Tank, except not being on the show, because you get called up to these big meetings, we were dealing with the global team. So, these are big decisions being made inside the organization. And so to get a seat at the table, if you get opportunities like that, you have to just go, and they're like, can you do it? And I was like, of course I can. I've been waiting for this my whole life. And then I got back to town and I was like, how are we going to do this? Let's figure this out. How do I make 25,000 donuts a month? Well, now we've got to scale up our operation. We've got to add new equipment. We've got to hire more people. We actually, our first invoice that went to Whole Foods was actually a failure. It was a $40,000 invoice that was not good. And we had been making product for a long time, but on that scale, we didn't understand scaling within frozen, because it's a frozen product. And we had to take a step back. It took us 3-4 months to reevaluate, reset. I bought studies from universities. I hired consultants. We learned how water migration affects product scaling in frozen food items. And we got a second chance, but it wasn't like baseball. It's like you keep sending bad product that's not good. You're not going to keep taking it. So like, those are lessons you can only learn by doing,
Yeah.
and so I think that's a lot of it is you just have to not be afraid to get out there and try it. When we did that, I found other articles from other suppliers um, that people handed to me where it was like, a cheese manufacturer, their whole first order that went to Whole Foods was moldy and it didn't work, but they had, they adjusted midstream and learned what they needed to do and, have grown since then. So, you know, mistakes can happen, you just got to learn from them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you probably can answer this question a lot of different ways, but if you think about the biggest donut you've ever taken, and this can be personal, it can be professional, it might be something you've already named. What comes to your mind as like, now that was a big, scary one?
I mean, the opening the donut, there's two sides to that coin, So when you're an entrepreneur, you get to control how all the outcomes are. You get to control the decision making, but then you need to be able to live with those decisions that you've made. And there's no scapegoating. There's no blame. It's all you. And so, being able to accept that responsibility, it's a big step. And so, just going out doing it on your own, I mean, it's a big step. So I would say that's the biggest donut that I've taken, is starting all these businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. You might have been answering this question all along, but what's a donut that you're taking right now? Is that the NFT business?
Yeah, 100%. We just launched 2 weeks ago, and it was 16 months in the making. We had to build a platform. We had to sign artists to our platform, which we have about 15 signed right now. We had to develop virtual galleries with developers. We have staking mechanisms. There's the whole marketing of that leading up to it. The technology of being able to mint these passes. I'm now that I've got it all together, I'm going to try to be integrating our Web2 businesses into that as well. So, our donut shop and our chocolate shop, we're going to be token gating our memberships and kind of like the club level to our IRL businesses with NFTs. And it sounds crazy right now, but actually all the major corporations are doing it. So right now, Starbucks has a program called Odyssey, which my wife and I are both beta testers in, and it's token gated, fan based ways to integrate people into your businesses. So there'll be times where, like, even right now, that mint pass will get you a free donut every day for the rest of your life. We'll be adding, they call them utilities. So we'll be adding more utilities into these NFTs that can be then used in our stores or used online and used in different ways. It's interesting and fun.
Okay. All right, Jeff, it's time for our sprinkle some encouragement section. For those who are listening, they're thinking of a goal they want to go after. There's a donut they're trying to take right now. What would be some encouragement you would give to them? What would be your advice?
My advice is to have a plan, but don't get stuck overthinking everything, because most of that plan is going to need to be readjusted as you move along, because you're going to be finding, okay, this worked, this didn't work. New things pop up all the time that you're going to want to pursue. So don't get killed by hesitation. A lot of people will sit it out for so long that they never go after that one thing that they wanted to do. So I would say there's no time like the present. Don't wait on anything. If you have something that you want to do or achieve, you should get out there and start doing it right away, because life's fleeting. We only have so much time to pursue in so many different directions that we can go. So if you have something that you're passionate about, I would say get out there, get it started today. I mean, with our new art business, I would be like, all right, I'm going to go down to the city. I'm going to form my LLC today. I would take one step. Now that's done. Okay, now I want to trademark some of these slogans, in that space, because it's so new. So minting possibilities. I started that process with the lawyers. Like there's things that you can start moving along before you even open your doors. And there's so many steps that next thing you know, it's 6 months in or a year in, and you've moved a little bit every day along there. And then finally you can get to the point where you're ready to open or do something like that. So, I mean, even our donut shop took us 10 months from conceptualizing it to leasing a place, to getting the leasehold improvements, to getting all of our permits, hiring our crew, doing the marketing. You know, it was 10 months in the making, just to get to opening day, you know, so just start moving the needle. There's a Japanese word called Kaizen. You've probably heard of it. It just means daily incremental improvement. So do something every day to take one step closer to your goal. And that's how we've always tried to operate.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that too. That's something I often say to myself, just do one thing today. There was a time in my life where I would say, do one thing to make your life better if I wasn't in a good place, or when you're moving towards a goal, do one thing to take a step forward. And there's often many steps involved in what looks like this big mass of an objective, which makes it seem overwhelming. If you just take those little steps, you find you're a lot closer to it over time than you realized you were.
They pile up fast. Next thing you know, it's been 4 months and you've had 120 days to be able to move the needle, you know? So I say go for it.
Absolutely. Well, tell us where we can find you. Are there any links that we need to know about, things that I'll be able to link to this video when it is published? Where do we find you?
Yeah, our Who's Donuts, WHOOS.donuts. So it's the short form of donuts.com. That's our website. You can find out more about us. We have links to our Facebook page there. We have a newsletter that we send out, so people are welcome to join with that. If you're interested in our art project, it's called Santa Fe NFT.io, and you can find out more. It's basically a digital art collecting club. Is the way that we're trying to word it, a little bit more, less tech and a little more collecting friendly. And then Chocolatesmith is the name of our chocolate business. So the Chocolatesmith, like blacksmith, except Chocolatesmith, and it's chocolatesmith.com. All our links are there. And thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
I mean, this is great. Everybody needs to go check out all of those things, or whichever of those things is interesting to you. Chances are Jeff is doing something that you're interested in, whatever your interests are. So be sure to check that out. And if you like Jeff's story, be sure to like and subscribe, because I've got lots more cool videos coming up with other people who are taking the donut now or have in the past, or both. Jeff, thanks for chatting with me and really helping to shine a light on what it looks like to go after opportunity.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me here. I love what you're doing, and I'm glad I could be on.
Awesome. Well, okay, everybody, you know what to do. Get inspiration, get donuts. Goodbye.